Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin, and today I have been given the deep honor and privilege of leading these services for Lani today. We are here not only to celebrate the life of a wonderful mother, grandmother, friend, and colleague, but to pay tribute to a loving family. Your presence here today is a sign of that love and devotion to them. And now, to begin, I kindly invite forth Lani's daughter, Christine, to begin our memorials with a poetry reading.
That time I thought I could not go any closer to grief without dying. I went closer, and I did not die. Surely God had his hand in this, as well as friends. Still, I was bent, and my laughter, as the poet said, was nowhere to be found. Then said my friend Daniel, brave even among lions, "It's not the weight you carry, but how you carry it. Books, bricks, grief, it's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, carry it. When you cannot and would not put it down." So I went practicing. Have you noticed? Have you heard the laughter that comes now and again out of my startled mouth? How I linger to admire, admire, admire the things of this world that are kind and maybe also troubled. Roses in the wind, the sea geese on the steep waves, a love to which there is no reply.
Sorry, I couldn't wait. I was struggling to think of memories of my mother to talk about today, but then I kept coming back to the very last time I saw her. It was a month ago when my wife and daughter and I were up to see my mom for the first time in 18 months. On the last night of our visit, we were all sitting on the back porch when all of a sudden a huge black bear walked across the side of the house, through the backyard and into the woods. And my mother was ecstatic. "I've never seen one before," she said. Everybody else has had one in their backyard, but not me." This was, of course, after she had yelled to the neighbors to run for cover. So if they're here today, she saved your life. You're welcome. But she was so excited that she got to see this with her granddaughter before she went back to South Carolina. "Eliza, we saw a black bear," she said to her more than once. When the bear returned a few days later, going the opposite direction, she took a photo and sent it to Eliza, or rather, she sent it to me to give to Eliza. This was clearly their thing now, not mine or hers, even though I was the one who saw the bear in the first place. I think about this because it's that almost childlike sense of excitement at witnessing something new, especially when shared with others, that I'll miss the most about my mom. If you wanted to share with her something that seemed trivial, but that you were truly proud of, she was there for it. If you had something to teach her, some interesting piece of information to share, she would revel in it. And she would make a point of saying how cool it was that there were people like you who knew this stuff. She would go wherever and do whatever if it was important to you, or if it meant that she got to spend time with people she loved. I love nothing more than seeing how genuinely happy being in a room with her granddaughters made her. The fact that this kind of innocence could coexist within the most hardworking, thorough, dedicated, and detail-oriented personalities I've ever met is astounding to me. Hearing the kind words of her current and former colleagues from over the years, a pattern emerges that paints a picture of one of the best colleagues you could ask for. My heart breaks for the AIC community because I know what a loss this is. She loved coming to campus and playing such an important role in helping the college fulfill its mission, though she would never feel comfortable taking any of the spotlight away from the students and faculty who are the face of the college. She lived to support people. That was where she felt most comfortable, and she was genuinely proud to come back to AIC and do what she did best. She loved her colleagues and shared in their joys and sorrows. Coming back to this college really was like coming home for her. And she loved correcting your grammar. I'm very sorry for the inevitable 30% increase in spelling errors that will be found in official AIC correspondence in the coming semester. I have her well-loved, heavily annotated Chicago Manual of Style if you'd like to go through it, but it's the best doorstop I've ever come across, so I'm reluctant to part with it right now. You'll understand. If all else fails, you can just lean into the errors and call it an in-house style. Margaret would love that. I didn't inherit these traits from her. Frankly, I didn't inherit them from anyone, but there were certainly times where our personalities clashed. Sometimes I couldn't fathom the rules-based orderly fashion in which she liked to conduct her life, and she couldn't fathom the any other way than that I lived mine. But even if we had disagreements at any point in my life, I never, ever questioned whether or not she cared, because she always did. She never had to convince me. This has obviously been a trying few years for my family. In terms of my immediate family, my sister and I, within the last 5 years, we've said goodbye to our dad, then welcomed our two beautiful daughters into the world, and now we're saying goodbye to our mom. When you lose a parent, especially before you've had kids of your own, it's like your rudder, your compass, your sense of purpose and direction has been stolen. And you have to rebuild it somehow. Our daughters helped us find that purpose. So did our spouses, who have peeled us off the floor more times than we can count. And so did our mom. We loved seeing her be a grandma. Eliza and Audley had the best grandpa and grandma in the world. Nothing changes that. I'm thankful that I can say goodbye to my mom with the same words that I used to say goodbye to my dad. Thank you for always supporting us, no matter what we wanted to do in life. Thank you for not telling us what to be when we grow up or who to marry, and for being the kindest mother-in-law to our spouses. Thank you for never getting into a fight or making us bail you out of jail. That was more for my dad, but it sticks in this case too. It's the little things in life, Thank you for never kicking us out of the house or forever saying, why can't you be more like so-and-so? Thank you for giving us the best family we could ask for. We have the best aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends, and the strongest grandma, or super grandma, as she's known to her great-grandchildren, and she's earned that name every day. I've never been more happy to call myself a Kretschmar and a Lari in these past few days. Thank you for always telling us how proud of us you were. Thank you for ending every conversation on the phone or in person with, I love you. And now for the matter of where my mom is right now. Everybody is, of course, entitled to their own interpretation, but going back to the initial story, I invite you to join me in envisioning her as a majestic black bear, walking the streets of Gloucester, her beloved birthplace, probably catching fish, eating saltwater taffy from Nichols Candies on Route 128, one of her favorites, accompanied all the while by a bottomless glass of wine as she sternly reminds revelers that fireworks are illegal in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. They're just simply waiting for her to tell them. And that they should acquaint themselves with the usefulness of the Oxford comma. And throughout her adventures, she always makes it a point to brag about her beloved cubs. Thank you for being here. Be safe and be kind to each other.
Thank you, Andy. As we continue this morning, I invite forward Kelly and Bob to share a musical tribute.
There's a whole other conversation going on in a parallel universe where nothing breaks and nothing hurts. There's a waltz playing frozen in time, blades of grass on tiny bare feet. I look at you, you're looking at me. Could you beam me up? Give me a minute. I don't know what I'd say in it. I'd probably just stare, happy just to be there, holding your face. Beam me up. Let me be lighter. I'm tired of being a fighter, I think. A minute's enough. Just beam me up. Saw a blackbird soaring in the sky. Tell me that was you saying goodbye. There are times I feel the shivering cold. It only happens when I'm on my own. Tell me that's you, I'm not alone. Could you beam me up? Give me a minute. I don't know what I'd say in it. I'd probably just stare, happy just to be there, holding your face. Beam me up. Let me be lighter. I'm tired of being a fighter, I think. A minute's enough. Just beam me up. In my head I see your baby blues. I hear your voice and then I break in two, and now there's one of me with you. So when I need you, can I send you a sign? Light a candle, turn off the lights. Pick a star and watch you shine. Just beam me up. Give me a minute. I don't know what I'd say in it. I'd probably just stare, happy just to be there, holding your face. Beam me up. Let me be lighter. I'm tired of being a fighter, I think. A minute's enough. Beam me up. Beam me up. Beam me up. Could you beam me up?
And now for our second poetry reading, I kindly invite forward Joanne and Rick, Lani's lifelong friends.
Remember me. To the living, I am gone. To the sorrowful, I will never return. To the angry, I was cheated, but to the happy, I am at peace. And to the faithful, I have never left. I cannot be seen, but I can be heard. So as you stand upon a shore, gazing at a beautiful sea, remember me. As you look in awe at a mighty forest and its grand majesty, remember me. As you look upon a flower and admire its simplicity, remember me.
Remember me in your heart, your thoughts, your memories of the times we loved, the times we cried, the times we fought, and the times we laughed. For if you always think of me, I will never be gone.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to share remembrances of their sister, Bonnie and Debbie.
I thought I was prepared. I've been fine until seeing her everywhere. In Indiana, it was just easier to believe she's just in Massachusetts. And the printer wouldn't work at the hotel, so I couldn't print my eulogy. I can't see it. Oh, get rid of that. Wait a minute. There we go. Kind of some disjointed thoughts, but if you're here today, you knew Lani. I mean, you really knew her because she was as genuine as they come. What you saw was what you got. And whether you knew her in a professional or a personal capacity, you knew the real Lani. She was genuine and she pulled no punches. If you ticked her off, you knew it. And a phrase that always comes to mind about Lani, and I actually heard here on campus a few times, was, she did not suffer fools gladly. She wanted the best for you, but she also expected the best from you. And she held herself to that same standard. She was a fiercely loyal friend, sister, and aunt. Lord knows she was opinionated, but even if she didn't always agree with you, she stood by you. And Andy, you said that so much better than I did. Our family has had a huge outpouring of support in the wake of her loss, from friends, colleagues, and even perfect strangers. You said I should leave this part out.
Still do.
Moving on. Lani affected so many lives on so many levels. Her legacy of kindness, compassion, and empathy won't soon be forgotten. And speaking of legacies, you may be wondering about this shrouded mystery here next to Debbie and I. And I'll tell you a story that started a long time ago. In typical Lani fashion, she had a thoughtful idea for our parents' anniversary. And looking back, she must have been about 18 or so, but Lani was born Lani. Lani was in charge from day one. She was the third parent, as we called her. She arranged for a portrait of the three of us as a gift for my parents for their anniversary. And somewhere in my mother's house is an 8x10 framed tabletop portrait of the three of us. But what we didn't know until Debbie's sister-in-law, Jim's sister, Shirley, happened to go into the old, I don't know if it was Olin Mills or Technicolor studio downtown, if anybody remembers that, was that this nice, respectable picture of us had been blown up into a huge portrait of the three of us. Of course, we traipsed downtown to gawk at it when we heard about it, at which time they offered to sell it to my parents at an extortionate price, which they wisely declined. And fast forward a couple of years, and that old Technicolor or Olin Mills was closing its doors, and at that time, they again asked our parents if we would like to just take the portrait, just take it. And what parent could leave their children behind? Now, if you're aware of the size of the, there it goes again, the 16 acres ranch house that we grew up in, there was certainly not a suitable wall to accommodate such glorious artwork. Let me find where I was. So, okay, hence the portrait sat in the basement all these years through us growing up, moving into and out of various sized houses. The joke among the three of us through the years was, I don't want it, you take it. I don't want it, you take it. I don't want it, you take it. And Debbie recently told me Lani suggested that the two of them pack it up and send it as a housewarming gift for the new house we're building in Indiana. But now we have a solid solution. AIC has always been such a part of our family. Starting with our father teaching here, our mom, and each of us graduating from here. I'm sure you might have seen the portrait of us as little girls in the AIC gardens out in the lobby. And of course, Lani's tenure here as executive assistant to the president and secretary to the board of directors. As in everything she put her hand to, she excelled in her roles. So in hopes of seeing a room, a wing, or a building dedicated to Lani, we'd like to kick it off with a generous donation. A testament to our family's multi-level connection or tether to AIC. But if it ends up in the basement, we understand. Just make sure it's the stinger. Anything else you want to say? No. Thank you.
I don't think I can follow a portrait. But ladies and gentlemen, as we near the end of our services today, I would like to leave you with a final poem entitled She Is Gone by David Harkins. You can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived. Or you can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her and only that she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what she would want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. At this time, our services here in the auditorium have concluded. Before we dismiss this afternoon, I would like to wish a very gracious thank you to President Vince Maniaci for opening up Lani's AIC home to us today to create such a wonderful space for this service. A thank you to Candy Lash and her staff for all the dedicated work that everybody did to get her services prepared here. And a special thank you to everybody who contributed this morning to her services, to Christine and Andy for sharing reflections about their mom, to her sisters for sharing, and of course our readings and our musical performances as well. And of course, a thank you to our honor guard for escorting us in and out of our services this morning. As we depart the auditorium this afternoon, led by Captain Kane, our funeral home staff will escort Lani's family into the lobby, where there will be a receiving line into the west wing of the auditorium, where there will also be a luncheon reception for those of you wishing to join the family to continue to share reflections of her and her memory. And for those of you who may have noticed, throughout the lobby and in the west wing of the building this afternoon, you're going to see lots and lots of green plants, which were a favorite of Lani's. Her family kindly asked that should you wish to do so and take a small piece of her home with you, you are certainly welcome to do so, to keep a piece of her with you always. Thank you all so very much for your presence here today.